Hi everyone, welcome to Potluck Food Talks. Today we're going to talk about, I don't know, suggest a topic. Phil, what are we going to talk about today?
You're just going to catch me off guard like that? We're going to talk about Copenhagen again.
Okay. Okay, about my recent trip to Copenhagen. Okay,
yeah, because, there's more to say about Copenhagen, I think.
Yeah, and I also wanted to share my experience. Man, I had bad experiences in the two most hyped places of my lineup of restaurants, which were Beast and Bar. Both of these places are places that chefs talk about and recommend and hype it and everything. And
absolutely.
So, and these were the two that didn't work out, and all the other that were for me previously unknown places worked perfectly well. I'm not sure if it's something psychologically related. No, for sure it is with expectations. And I actually can pretty well elaborate on that in the case of Beast. So, like, I want to hear your opinion on this. So, how could I put this? I once went to a lecture with Laura Vasquez. She's like an outstanding sensory analysis researcher at Basque Culinary Center, and she was kind of explaining. She used to work at big beer companies, and they would get like consumer insights through different methodologies. And her job was to translate all those insights into the marketing team, so that the marketing team actually empathizes and delivers the messages that the end user, consumer, or client wants to understand or have, or like the key messages. So I think what happened at Beast, there was like a super strong discrepancy between the messages I got and the experience I had. And that's why I was unable to enjoy it. I mentioned a few episodes ago that I was really wanting to go to Beast. It was actually the only place I was revisiting my second time in Copenhagen, and I was going there for the second time. The first time I was working with a miserable salary and just kind of surviving there with the few money I had and I had like a super nice experience, and I remember having one of the best pizzas in my life. This time what happened is, so I make my booking, and just after the booking I get a newsletter signed by Puglisi, and it said something like, Beast and Mirabelle are responding to the trend in Copenhagen restaurant scene of lowering prices due to recent economic challenges. We're committing to making the restaurants accessible to a variety of customers, including families and students. So we want to make everything cheap. And I was like, okay, nice, because Copenhagen is kind of like an expensive city. Yeah. We were on a budget, like we didn't went to any Michelin star restaurant, just to smart casual, smart choice places, like picking good places to have nice experiences for a good price. So, and I was actually also transmitting this message to my companion and this trip, and it was like, yeah, this is going to be the cheapest place in the trip, you'll see. And why a pizza place? You'll see. It was all like me, like kind of promoting the place. So we arrive, and the host, he shows us our table and gives us the menu. And the menu, there were only like two options. And he says, you can choose between this, and he leaves. And we look at each other like, what is this? And we see, and there was menu 1, menu 2. And we were like, okay. And we see the price, and it was not like cheap at all. And we're like, okay, let's go for the menu. Okay, let's pick this one. Then another waiter comes and, you have to choose a pizza for the menu. Okay, there's a QR code. We enter the QR code, check for the pizza. My companion chooses one. I choose another one. Okay, these are our pizzas. No. You have to choose one for both. So like already at this point, everything was like very uncomfortable, okay, and we choose, and the menu starts. And then I suddenly realized, where the pizzas were, that was the a la carte. You could go through the QR code. And I really had this feeling that we were like induced to buy a menu through a cheap sales tactic.
Oh.
And that really made me unable to enjoy the experience. I never came here for a fucking menu. And would I have been communicated properly, I would have done what I wanted to do. I actually had a draft to write an article about the pizzas because I just to train my food writing, and I thought this was a cool exercise. And then suddenly, food starts to arrive. It was a lot of food. To be honest, there was nothing spectacular except for a stracciatella, which was fucking amazing, by the way. It was a stracciatella with pickled mushrooms and sage. Super nice. And everything else, I mean, cold cuts. We're from Spain. Vegetables. Sorry, I don't care if they were grown by a Sicilian widow with just one eye. They were just nice vegetables. We've worked in vegetable restaurant. And then the pizza arrived. We were already full. It was really not what I wanted. And then when the bill comes, it was more expensive than the experience we had the night before at Marv and Ven. And for me, it was like, there's no way we're paying more here than, well, for what we had before. It's not comparable. You know, it was just so much better, like really well thought dishes, like not rustic, like almost fine dining. And, you know, my companion looks at me and tells me, this is a joke, you know, like,
wow.
At the moment we were eating, I see like, oh, look, there is a recognition that this is one of the top 10 pizzas in Europe. And my companion tells me, and here we are eating cold cuts. And also on top of that, like just 2 days later, Puglisi posts on his Instagram making like a big deal about his menu with a QR code. Oh, this is half menu, half QR code. And I was like, to summarize, food was good, service fucked us. You know, like would have the service communicated properly. I would have really enjoyed the experience and actually choose what I wanted to choose. A lot of people tells me like people expect you to know this kind of things. You should have known. Like you should have asked to clarify if there is a menu or a la carte or this kind of thing. And I partly agree on that. But I mean, like if I go to a restaurant, I don't want to be proactive looking to not being fucked. Like, I don't know, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
No, totally. I mean, like, I don't agree with the whole sort of like, oh, you should know. It's like, no, fuck you. Like, this is not some weird speakeasy where I have to give the password to get in, you know? And it's like, even if you know what the restaurant is about, and if you arrive, you are kind of like giving yourself into the hands of the service. You're not suspicious of anything. Like, you're just kind of trusting in the experience, you know, and you can know that this is a pizza place and stuff. But if then somebody comes and tells you, hey, you have to choose one of these, then you're going to be like, oh, well, if the host tells me this, then I guess that's what it is, you know, then maybe I made a mistake or whatever, you know. That
guy had one job. He had to show us the table and give us the menu. That's it. Would have he gave us the menu without saying anything, I would have found my way to the QR code, you know, like just one job and he fucked it up, man. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate, you know, because the way that front of house communicates to guests and stages the whole experience for people is so important, you know. It should be like, you know, sometimes kind of like talking to you like you're stupid, you know, like you arrive and I'm going to make everything super easy and super clear for you, you know, just like so that for you, it feels really, really easy. It's like, hey, this is exactly it. I'm going to explain to you in 2 sentences everything that you need to know. And I think that's how it should be, you know, like why leave your guest in like this weird sort of like, you know, state of being like, well, should I do this? Should I do that? Can I do this? Can I not do that? It shouldn't be like that.
And also, like, I don't know if this was actually like a cheap sales tactic, like from I don't know, like a fake watch smuggler in a corner. But like, if you are listening to this, the guy who attended us, you know, like the host, dude, there are like phases on a sales process. And if you jump one of those phases, even if you close the sale, even if at the end of the day you will have like a quantitative indicator that you close a sale, if you didn't do it correctly, you will have this kind of results. Me talking trash about your place and your work. There are many methodologies and approaches to close a sale, but I think you didn't respond to any of them. Just check that out.
Yeah, that's very true. That's a really good point to make. It's like, even if you make the sale, if you don't do it correctly, you're gonna have like a bad impact. Just the number that you like sold the menu is not worth, your customers, your guests having a bad experience. And it's a shame. Like, the last time I went to Based was like 2015 or something like that. And it wasn't like that at all. It was kind of what you would expect. You arrive, you get a menu. You're like, hey, guys, what do you want to eat? Do you want to eat some pasta? You want to eat some small dishes? You want to eat some? No, we want to eat pizza. Okay. But like, before we get a burrata. Okay, cool. And easy. And you order, and that's exactly what happens. Yeah.
For me, that's super basic. What did you describe? Like a super basic service dialogue.
It's like if you and I go to Humo,
Yeah.
Like, just that.
And I mean, like, I completely respect Puglisi's work and the work that the guys at Beast do, but it was just like, it happened the way it happened, and it had the result it had.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, the next day we went to bar, and in bar you could argue if these guys did something wrong or not, or if it was my fault or not, that could be something to discuss or not.
Yeah.
But the next day, there was no question they fucked it up by the book. It was like a real mistake, like a big one, And I took it better, because if you do a mistake, I'm empathetic, like I'm not like a foodie douchebag idiot. Like they didn't clean the breadcrumbs of their course too.
Debatable, Eric. Debatable.
But this is what happened. So we arrived. In this case, we knew this was going to be the most expensive dinner of the trip. So we were predisposed to that. That's,
Yeah. It's the old Noma space and all of that sort of stuff, Like,
we were calibrated that we were going to spend a lot of money in this one for our standards. Okay. And it was like, okay, let's do this. So we go for the 4-course menu, and we were there waiting, and suddenly we realize we were talking like something happened, that. Suddenly we realize 50 minutes had passed, 50.
50.
And it was like,
wow.
Yeah, it was like, like we were really calm, like chilling, like whatever, what had happened? I don't know. Maybe someone had a heart attack and there is an ambulance in the back of the kitchen. We were like doing this kind of jokes, like whatever.
Yep.
At some point I was playing chess on my phone, like all chill.
Mm-hmm.
Then suddenly the 2nd course of the menu arrives, and we're like, oh, wow, something really happened. I forgot to say something. Like, they tell us, like, you want to go for the tasting menu? Okay, pork or fish? And the fish is like a nice sea bass. Of course, fish, sure, sea bass. Anyways, also I have to say here that the food was fucking amazing. Like, we had a tartare, fucking amazing. Then the sea bass arrives. The sea bass, I have to say, I don't know if this is a thing of style, or for me, I would say it's technically wrong. In my opinion, the fish skin was carbonized, black, and it had like herbs on top. I mean, I like roast flavors. I love to eat fish skin, and that one was unedible. Like, I actually, a friend of mine told me, you're at bar. That's a place where they burn everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, John Basterrechea. He was like, that's a place where everything is burnt black.
What? Really?
Grilled like that. No, and in this case, the fish. So you could argue if that's a matter of style or not. Some people have told me, that's very Nordic. Okay, whatever.
I don't know. You sent me a photo. It was very black. I don't know how you, like, I like dark stuff also, but like, I don't know how you can eat that.
In my opinion, that's a mistake, technically. Some people could argue about that or not. But the next thing was like a dice of raw fish inside so that's, sorry, mate, like, this is not properly executed. Even though, like, it was the whole fish without the bones, like they opened the fish and then closed it again, something like that. But there, like, my companion didn't want to eat the raw piece. I didn't have a problem with that.
So it was black on the outside and just like not cooked on the inside, or what?
Yeah, there was a piece that was raw, not like raw. Like, I ate it. Like, But even so, it was very good fish and it was very delicious, Dessert also very well. And at that point, already with the conversation and everything, we suddenly come up to the conclusion, this guy actually forgot the first course. Probably, right? Because, nobody came to say anything. In this 50 minutes, I think they just asked us if we wanted to drink something else or fill it up bread. But there was nothing going on there. Perhaps they came once in 50 minutes. So suddenly we say, guys, you forgot the first course, so could you make us the discount? And suddenly everybody was, oh, sorry, this, that. Everybody was paying attention to us suddenly once we said that they fucked up. So the bill arrives, and they said, we're going to discount the 33% of the bill. Yeah. And nice. We were pretty full, so actually this wasn't nice, we were paying less, and this was kind of like an expensive place. They asked us if we wanted the discount or to send us the appetizer after dessert. They also offered us that voucher. When something like that happens in my restaurant, I send a little something,
Of course.
So anyways, bill arrives, and it was more expensive than we thought initially with the 33% discount. And it was, what is this? Turns out that this pork or fish had an extra 50 euros per person. And that was a question, pork or fish? This was actually the same waitress that forgot us for a whole hour. Even so, we weren't obsessed or annoyed, it was just an anecdote, and that's it. The day before at Beast, I was annoyed.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a really unfortunate lack of communication, of streamlining. How can you just forget a table for an hour, even if it's a big restaurant? I don't know how big a bar is, but even if it's a big restaurant, and you have a waiter who's responsible for a certain amount of tables, right? Normally, I don't know how they run their business, but normally. And he has an overview of what's going on. And if there's a mistake being made from his side or from the kitchen side, can also happen. Sometimes you send out a dish and you say, hey, this is for table 2. And the guy takes it to table 3 instead. You cross off table 2 and then you send table 3. And he's like, but they already have their dish. And you're like, well, what the fuck? I didn't send it there. So there's
they told us that probably something like that happened. Yeah. Exactly something like that. And I also thought something like that happened.
Yeah, but it's well, it can happen. That's fine. It's not fine, but you need to sort it out. You need to see it.
You see me complaining here and everything, but in a restaurant, I almost never complain.
Yeah,
same. Just yesterday we were having pinchos, and there was an ensaladilla that was fermented. It was acid. We were okay, we're not eating this anymore, but we didn't say anything. We paid it and when we left. There's people that make a big mess about whatever, or hey, we've been waiting here for 40 minutes. What's going on? I don't want to create that kind of atmosphere while I'm eating or going out,
Yeah, for sure. I'm the same. For me to complain, complain in a restaurant, if I wait, if nothing has come out for 40 minutes, I would be sort of hey, we've been waiting quite a long time. It's do you know what's going on? Would just be nice to know if, maybe something went wrong. You don't have to be shitty about it. I think it's totally fine to say something if you're not being shitty. For me to actually complain in a restaurant, you have to be really fucking rude to me,
Yeah.
You have to be really fuck up or be really rude to me. I remember one of the last times was when I was in Mexico. And
a waiter wanted to charge you more for speaking English or something like that.
Not like that, but he just kind of he just gave me the bill, and then he was and when I was paying, he tapped on the bill and he was tip 20%, yeah. And I was like, what the fuck did you just say to me? In Spanish, because obviously he thought we were tourists. And I replied in Spanish, and I was like, excuse me, and he was like. And I was like, man, would you think this is acceptable to talk to your guests like that? And he was like, oh, no, señor, lo siento. Just kind of and I was like, no, it doesn't matter where your customers are from. You can't talk to people like that, And yeah, I'm the same.
Yeah, I recently, for the first time in my life, I returned a dish and said, I'm not going to pay for this, but you don't have to be shitty about it.
You don't have to be shitty about it. Mistakes can happen and stuff. But with the stuff that you are describing, it just feels like, I don't know, I might be wrong, but to me it feels like
food was good, service fucked us, both cases.
yeah, but like the thing is that it really feels like, just especially with based, kind of like, you know, when places become too touristy and they start to not really care about people anymore, because there's kind of like, well, people come anyway, right? And it's kind of like
exactly.
fast, in and out, you know?
I've been in places like that. You do whatever and people will come in anyway. So you just don't value delivering a proper service.
Yeah.
Especially the service.
You know, maybe Copenhagen is entering a little bit of a Paris phase.
Yeah.
You know, where it's been this mecca, and now there's places that are busy all the time because there's a lot of tourism and stuff. And then the quality just kind of drops off. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's amazing places in Copenhagen. Copenhagen is an incredible city for food in general.
And I would return to both of these places, no question. I mean, like, for sure. It's just what happened.
Yeah. But it's a good sort of like experience to have, to reflect on customer experience. And also from the point of view of a restaurateur, of kind of like, well, it's not as easy as cooking food and putting it down in front of you. It's not as easy as that. You have to think about the whole experience, you know, and I'm not talking about a fucking Enigma alchemist level sort of like experience of like, oh, you do this and then you that and you think about this.
No, but there are many forces that make a restaurant experience what it is, you know, like, and there is like cleaning included, like decoration, music, ambience, lights, the way, the tone, the people talk, the design of the dishware of the tables, like it's all a package, you know?
It's like designing an app, right? If you design an app, you know, you think about, well, if I open up this app, what is going to be my experience? How easy is it for me to access certain things? How comfortable is it? And I think a restaurant is a lot like that, you know, where it's kind of like, as soon as you come into the restaurant, how's the experience? Is it like, do you have to wait a long time? Is there maybe a problem there? You know, like, is the turnover of the tables, is it smooth? Do people have to wait? How do you access the menu? Is the menu easy to understand? That's also a thing that people don't think about a lot. How the menu is set up. So many restaurants that I see, also like when I start working there, I look at the menu and I'm like, well, we have to change this. It's not, and people think, why? You have the starters and you have the main course. Like, yeah, but it's just not comfortable.
Yeah, well, what you're talking is about user experience, which is the discipline that designs apps, and it also applies to anything, also restaurants. We made an episode on user experience with an expert designer. But yeah, these kind of things, when I was telling this story to Xander, our producer, he told me, yeah, it's like when you're buying one of your best products that you love online, and suddenly the credit card cash out section doesn't work. You start hating the product just because of that. You know, like these kind of things have an impact on your perception of the product, for sure.
That's it for this week's episode of Potluck Food Talks. If you like what we're doing, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok as Potluck Food Talks. The show airs every Monday.